Another day at the ANT Nigeria News where we give you updates. And today we are coming with another very interesting topic today in our hands or in our plates, as I'll seem, or rather, more specifically, in our country today. So now there's a very huge amount of money lying somewhere, just sitting somewhere, and it belongs to pension people, or rather, what you call pension fund. It belongs to this class of people, and it's really a lot of money, a lot. We are talking about 20 trillion naira. 20 trillion naira federal money. Now, and this money is set aside for pension, the people that are done with the civil life is kept for them. Maybe they are disbursing it for them bit by bit, but you can see that the accumulated sum is 20 trillion naira. And the federal government of the federation intends to use this money and put it into infrastructure in the country. Buildings of what exactly, that which we do not know. But I believe we all know how this sort of things play out. You have 1 trillion going into this project, and at the end of the day, it's either an unfinished project or it just gets missing in contract. I believe you all understand this plot or whatsoever it is. Now we can't for a fact we can't tell if that's the actual purpose or there's an ulterior motive. But hear what Atiku has to say. Leave 20 trillion naira pension funds alone, Atiku tells federal government. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has warned the federal government not to tamper with Nigerians' pension funds in a bid to rev up economic growth by unlocking 20 trillion naira from pension savings to finance critical infrastructure projects across the country. He described the move as another attempt to perpetrate illegality by the federal government, adding that it must be cautioned to act strictly within the provisions of the Pension Reform Act of 2014 (PRA 14). The opposition leader added that the initiative was misguided and could lead to disastrous consequences on the lives of Nigeria's hardworking men and women who toiled and saved and who now survive on their pensions, having retired from service. The former vice president, who cautioned against cutting corners to fund infrastructure, said the government must introduce necessary reforms to restore investor confidence in the Nigerian economy. The federal government, through the Coordinating Minister for the Economy and Minister of Finance Wale Edun, on Tuesday unveiled a strategic plan to harness the 20 trillion naira pension fund and other locally available resources for infrastructure development in Nigeria. The minister disclosed this at the end of a two-day Federal Executive Council (FEC) meeting chaired by President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday. The minister has indicated that the initiative is expected to attract foreign investment interest over time. But taking to his X handle on Wednesday, Atiku said it was curious that the minister provided no useful details, such as the percentage of the funds to be mopped up from the pension funds. The former vice president added, even at that, this move must be halted immediately. It is misguided initiative that could lead to disastrous consequences on the lives of Nigerians, hardworking men and women who toiled and saved and now survive on pensions having retired from service. It is another attempt to perpetrate illegality by the federal government. The government must be cautioned to act strictly within the provisions of the Pension Reform Act of 2014 (PRA 14), along with the revised regulation on investment and pension assets issued by the National Pension Commission (PENCOM). In particular, the federal government must not act contrary to the provisions of the extant regulation on investment limits, to which pension funds can invest no more than 5% of total pension funds assets in infrastructure development. I note that As of December 2023, total pension funds assets were approximately 18 trillion naira, of which 75% of these are investments in FGN securities. There is no free pension funds that is more than 5% of the total value of the nation's pension fund for Mr. Idun to fiddle with. There are no easy ways for Mr. Idun to address the challenges of funding infrastructure and development in Nigeria. He can't cut corners. He must introduce the necessary reforms to restore investor confidence in the Nigerian economy and to leverage private resources, skills, and technology. So, having read this, we are talking about here Edun, or rather Mr. Edun, wanting to harness this accumulated sum of pension fund into an investment, or rather into the infrastructure part of the country of what there is no detailed or well stated agreement for, or well stated plan for. It's just an idea, and he wants to use over 20 trillion naira for it. I think there's an issue with this, an issue that we cannot just see yet. Until it's not even necessary, it's not even called for him to touch pension fund based on this Pension Reform Act, and the federal government must stick to that act because it is the law and no one is above the law.